Hi, my name is Danny Brown. I'm the CEO of Myriad Real Estate Group, and I am incredibly frustrated. So right now, why I'm so frustrated is the overall lack of professionalism that exists within the real estate market right now. I have never seen it like this. The unwillingness of the agents on the other side to communicate properly what their clients want, whether they be buyers or sellers. I cannot tell you how many offers I've received for listings where we send a counter offer over and then just hear absolutely nothing. There's no response to the email, there's no returning of phone calls, nothing. And then we finally reach them and they tell us, oh yeah, our client wasn't interested in your counter. It's like, okay, well, respond to me for one. What don't they like about the counter offer that we sent? There's gotta be a deal somewhere in there, even if it's just our original offer was the best that we were willing to do. At least I have that and I can take that back to my client. So the lack of decorum on the other side of the real estate transaction is just pissing me off and is making it incredibly difficult to get deals done. I'm representing buyers, and on the buy side, I cannot tell you how many offers, and they're reasonable offers, that I've submitted on listings where the listing agent just responds like, this is too low, my seller's unwilling to accept it. Like, no shit. This is our initial offer. This is a negotiation. Send me a counter offer. Again, even if it's just at full list price, no concessions, at least give me that opportunity to take it back to my client and say, hey, this is what they want. Take it, or we can take it or leave it. If you want this house, it's going to be full list price, no concessions. At least give us that chance. But to just come out and straight up and say no is so frustrating. The inability for people to negotiate right now in our marketplace, I don't know if this is a skill that is just disappearing, but it is just incredibly frustrating and I'm having a hard time dealing with it. So let's first start out with what is the job of a realtor. And I know that we wear many hats, from therapist to salesman to all of these things, but fundamentally our job is to negotiate a deal between two separate parties and be that linchpin that's connecting everybody together to get to the finish line. We all have a common goal. There's a party that wants to buy a property and there's a party that wants to sell a property. We've got to have a meeting of the minds and we've got to work together to get that finish line, to the finish line. And so when I'm helping a client, I want what's best for my clients ultimately, right? But I am working with the agent on the other side to get to the finish line. And right now that just doesn't seem to exist. The inability for people to have those conversations and realize that we're working towards a common goal is just non-existent right now, or at least is disappearing. What I do when I receive an offer, regardless of where it's at, I'm excited. I'm excited for my client because that is the first hurdle that we have to clear in order to sell a home, is to have a property that somebody is interested enough in to put pen to paper and send you a formal offer. Now, sure, that number could be lower than what we wanted, but the first thing that we need to do is actually get an offer. So I'm excited. So I call my clients and I say, great news, we got an offer. Now, unfortunately, it is not where you want to be, so we have some work to do. And that's when we get together and we decide how we want to counter that offer to the other side to see if we can't get them to come up. Now, as sellers, you need to recognize that this is a business transaction and no one is trying to insult you, right? These buyers do not have the emotional attachment to your home that you do, and they're not trying to insult you. They are trying to get the best home that they can get at the most reasonable price that they can afford or want to pay for your product. And remember, at the end of the day, your home is worth what someone's willing to pay for it. And that can be different for different people. And so when we get an offer, I'm excited because I got an offer. My marketing's worked, I've attracted somebody into the home, and they've liked the home enough to put pen to paper. Now the work starts to negotiate to try to get you, the seller, the best price possible. So when I go through that and then I send the counter offer to the buyer's agent, to not hear a response, to even get a response that says, oh, we're not interested in that, and the buyer's moving on. That's really frustrating because, again, this is a negotiation. And so it's my feeling that these buyer's agents should be wanting to put a deal together Remember, and they don't get paid unless something actually closes, right? And so that means for them, they've got to get back in the car, they've got to show you more homes, it's very time consuming. So they should be motivated, and they're just not, to put an offer together. So they need to respond. So if you have an agent, if you're working with somebody and you make an offer on a listing and you get a counter offer that you're not jazzed about, counter again. There is no limit to the number of counter offers that can go back and forth. And if at the end of the day your initial offer is your highest and best, clarify and make that known, because then at least the listing agent can go to the seller and say, hey, this is the highest and best they can do. If you want to get your home sold, this might be worth it to go forward, or we can continue to market the home and see if we can find a buyer that's willing to pay more. You're at least giving them that opportunity. So the lack of response, I think, is what I'm finding the most frustrating in this market. So as a buyer's agent, it is super frustrating to run a market analysis on a home, show a bunch of homes to your client, find some homes that they like, submit an offer on it, and then to only get a response from the seller or the listing agent that the seller is not interested in this offer and they reject. Like, that is very deflating. And what I don't understand, and I don't know if the listing agents are not communicating this properly to the sellers, the same thing I'm communicating to my sellers is that this is a negotiation. They have submitted an offer on your home, so they like it enough to at least start the conversation. Shouldn't be insulted. Let's issue them a counter. If there's particular terms that you don't agree with, let's counter those terms and turn it into an offer that we do like, and see if we can have a meeting of the minds somewhere in the middle. There's always going to be give and takes in these things. The initial offer that somebody makes is usually not their highest and best. There's always going to be room to come to the table and finer points to adjust. And I've helped sellers where they tell me their bottom line is this. Well, once they get going and they've started marketing and selling the property and reality starts to set in, you'll be surprised at where that bottom line starts to trend and go lower as they recognize the expense of maintaining and holding the property. An offer in hand, what is the saying? A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. So if you have an offer in hand, it's usually a good idea to see if you can negotiate and get to a meeting of the minds. Just responding that a seller's not interested and rejects it is so infuriating. And it seems like to me that the agents that are in this market are just unwilling to do the work and not properly advise their clients on how offer negotiations go. I think that if you're working with an agent and they are trying to convince you not to submit an offer on a home because they don't think that the seller is going to respond, I would fire that agent, right? It's their job. They can advise you. I run comps. I tell my clients what I think a good offer strategy is. At the end of the day, it's their decision. So if they want to be more aggressive, sure, let's be more aggressive and see what we can get the seller to do. It is my job to then write that offer and present it and make the best case that I possibly can to the agent and seller on the other side on why they should look at our offer. So if you're working with somebody that is trying to convince you not to submit an offer, fire that agent immediately. That is not somebody that you should be working with. On the listing side, I had a seller just recently that said, if we get any offers below a certain price, I don't want to know about them because it's just going to make me feel sad. Like, okay, that's fine. I have that in writing. Do I now have authorization, though, to see if I can get those offers to come up to something that is more reasonable to you that will make you less sad? I got that authorization, and guess what? We are now under contract. We got an initial offer that was at the point that she was not excited about. I was able to verbally counter immediately to that list or to that buyer's agent, and now we have a meeting of the minds and we are under contract. And guess what? It is slightly below what that line was for her because she recognizes, based on my conversations with her, the cost of maintenance, the unknowns in the marketplace, and it's worth it to give just a little bit extra in order to have that peace of mind that she is now under contract and she is working towards a closing date in February. No more mortgage payments, no more utilities, all those things matter. And so while some clients may say this is my line in the sand, that line in the sand tends to be a little bit more fluid than you might think. I guess at the end of the day, if you are working with an agent that is making you as frustrated as they make me, give me a call. I would love the opportunity to help you out. If you are an agent, just Communicate, properly advise your client. I know this market is grinding us all down, but if you get an offer, be excited. That is the first hurdle that we have to get over when we're trying to sell real estate, is getting our sellers offers. And so how you present it to them makes all the difference. And so if you pick up the phone and say, hey, we got an offer, it's a shit offer, they're just going to believe that it is a shit offer. But if you call them and say, hey, great news, we got an offer, I know it's not at the price that you want, we've got some work to do, so now let's get to work to see if we can get that buyer to come up. Change your mindset and change how you communicate with your clients, and you might be surprised at how many more deals you can get done.
Yeah.
Rant over.